Inventory Lab is an essential tool for any Amazon FBA business owner who wants to take their business more seriously. It gives you a deep insight into your inventory levels, your sales history, your profit and loss, and a ton of other information. That means there's a lot to learn about this software, so today I'm going to take you on an in-depth walkthrough through Inventory Lab and show you all its quirks and features. If you're new here, my name is Tom with Path to Billions. On this channel, I'm documenting my financial journey and taking you along so we can succeed together. My channel currently focuses around Amazon FBA, so if you're looking to start or grow an Amazon FBA business, then definitely make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications because there's going to be a ton more content just like this one. So we're just going to get right into it, and here we are on the dashboard for Inventory Lab. Now you can actually change what pops up as your dashboard when you first log into Inventory Lab, but I could actually show you that later in the settings. Here on the dashboard I have set, we have a snapshot of our business with monthly total income and profit. So the one thing I do not like about the dashboard is if you look down here at the dates, you could see it goes from Sunday to Saturday based on the current month. So that means you get weird little dates like this from the 1st to the 4th, and then you get full weeks here with the 5th to 11th. But then again, at the end of the month, you go from the 26th to the 30th. So it's just kind of weird that the bars aren't going to be lining up exactly, but that's just a personal preference. Over here, you have a breakdown of your total monthly expenses. So you can see the big one is cost of goods sold at $2,382. Next, you have your selling fees at $1,034. Then you have your FBA transaction fees at $1,324. Then you have FBA inventory and inbound service fees at $87. And then finally you have other expenses at $190. Now if you want to change what snapshot you're looking at, you go up here and you have a bunch of different options. You could do it daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, or you could custom set a date range that you prefer. So that's the dashboard. Let's move on to the next one. Under the research tab, you have Scout and History. For history, it is just the history of what you have searched, so we won't really go into that, but we will go to Scout. Now, if you did watch my last video on diving deep into tactical arbitrage's search results, then you will know I recommended this as a great tool to use when looking at through online arbitrage. So let's pull up a listing and show you all the information you get from this tool. So here's a product we could look over just to see the type of information the Inventory Lab Scout feature gives you back. So you have the picture from the product page, you have the title from Amazon's listing, you have the ASIN. Next, we have target cost per unit, and this is based on what you set your ROI minimum at. So for me, I set my minimum at 30%, so it's telling me I need to get this product for around $5 in order to make the profit I want to make. Then you have your sales rank, and you can see this is ranked 9,096 out of over 6 million products in toys and games. You have your size, which is a large standard. You have the weight, you have dimensions. Then over here you have your prep type, and you actually tells you whether you have any on hand, meaning in your inventory. Over here on our left side, we have expenses. So first we have cost a unit, which you could set over here on the right. Then you have your sales tax incurred, which is another setting you could change. So you can actually have it calculate sales tax based on a purchase price if you're doing retail arbitrage or online arbitrage. Then you have your Amazon referral fee, FBA fulfillment fee, closing fee, estimated shipping, and monthly storage. So for shipping, that is shipping to Amazon, not Amazon shipping it to the customer. Amazon shipping it to the customer would be within the FBA fulfillment fee. Then you have a nifty little chart that shows your expenses, your net profit, and your list price. If we go down to the profit calculator over here, I'll put in a random cost of just $5, and you can see it updates. Our net profit is now $196. You can see our expenses updated as well. In the top right hand corner here, you have your new FBM offers. So these are fulfilled by the merchant. Then you have used offers, and then you have FBA offers. Underneath that, you have a couple different buttons. You have Book Scouter, which I have no idea what that is. You have eBay if you want to pull up this listing on eBay to see what it's selling for there. You have Google in case you want to search for that product. You have Camel, which is similar to Keepa. Then you have your Prime Offers, which brings up all the offers on that listing. Then your next one is Amazon restrictions. If you click that button, it actually brings you back to the add a product page so you can see whether you're restricted on selling that product or not. Then for the profit calculator, you have calculate profit as either FBA, or you could toggle it to merchant fulfilled. So you can update your cost per unit depending on how much you're paying for it, so you can see how much profit you're going to make. You could see your list price, and you could click different prices here, and it'll change it so you can see how much profit you would make if you sell for a different price. You have your average net profit per unit, then you have your ROI. So this is a really amazing tool if you are doing online arbitrage, because it gives you a ton of information about the product you're selling, gives you a great calculator so you can determine your ROI and profit margins. Also as well, if you hit this little setting, you can have your shipping rate already inputted. So I put mine at 60 cents per pound. As I was saying, it can calculate sales tax for you automatically. So instead of having to do it manually and then putting the final price in there, you can have it do that automatically for you. So we'll hit cancel on that. All right, from here, let's go on to the next tab. The next tab is actually where you will list products into Inventory Lab for sale on Amazon. So you have list and prep, closed batches, and Amazon listing errors. The only two I actually use are list and prep and closed batches. So we'll click list and prep and check that out. Unfortunately for you guys, the right hand side of this page is going to be blurred out. The reason for this is because I'm currently in the middle of sending in a shipment. I'm actually currently waiting on a small wholesale order to come to me, so that way I can send in a batch of products to Amazon. My hope is that that wholesale order will come in this week, and then near the end of the week I could film a video about how to send in a shipment to Amazon through Inventory Lab for you guys. So if you're interested in that, definitely subscribe and turn on notifications, because that's hopefully going to be my next video if that wholesale order comes through. Unfortunately, that means we're going to skip this page for now. Also, next week I'll show you the closed batches page as well, because that will come into play a little bit. So we'll actually just skip this whole section and go on to inventory, because there's a lot there to show you. So under inventory, you have FBA and merchant fulfilled. I only do FBA right now, so we're going to check that out. As you can see, this is the main inventory page on Inventory Lab, and you can see I had to blur out a decent amount of information, but we can still go through everything. Up at the top left, there are 110 inventory items. It is displaying 50 per page, and you can see when it was last updated. You can see underneath that, you have the title of the item, you have the ASIN, you have the FN SKU, you have the M SKU over here, you have how many you have on hand, you have your replenished quantity, your list price, your active cost, your supplier, and your data purchase. Down at the bottom of the page, you can see how many items you have total in stock, which is 291. You can see I have 110 individual SKUs. Total buy cost for my inventory is $2,500. The in-stock sales value is $7,400. Now the one thing you'll notice is on yours, ASIN is going to be blue text, and you can actually click that and go directly to the Amazon listing. You'll also notice MSKU, replenish, active cost, supplier, and active date purchase are all blue. And you can click that and go to an individual products page, meaning it pulls up a separate page on Inventory Lab and gives you more information on a breakdown of that product. So you can also see on the bottom you have these colored bars, and each bar represents one of your suppliers. For instance, for me, the yellow bar would be Target. Now the other thing you'll notice as you scroll through your inventory is these little red alerts. If you click this alert, it will actually bring you to the same product page that MSKU, replenished quantity, active cost, active supplier, and active date would bring you to. So we're going to click that and go check that out. So if you clicked one of those 5 pieces of information I mentioned earlier where it brings up a product page, this is that product page. You can see under this white box would be the title of the product. You can see there are 8 fulfillable and there are 6 reserved. Reserved are either FC processing or FC transfer. You can also see down here that you have a status. One is active and one is in queue. You have the initial purchase, and then you have the replenishment. You can see what days they were listed, your cost per unit, your supplier, your date purchased, how many you sent in, how many are left. The way this works is if you buy 10 units of a product from one store and then a week later you send another 10, Inventory Lab will go through the first 10 and it'll tell you as you're selling, it'll say you have a remaining 9, then it'll tell you have a remaining 8, and then once it goes through that first 10, then it'll start working on the second one. This is great because it keeps it up to date. If you have different active costs, different suppliers, different dates of purchase, it'll make sure it sends out the oldest. If you look up in the top right corner, you can see Inventory Lab thinks I have 28 units and Amazon has 14 on hand. So there's a difference of 14. So if you look at these 2 lines, you'll see that they are pretty much identical, and they actually are. What happened was, as Amazon was letting more items into their facilities after stopping shipments, I tried sending this product in and then was denied, so I didn't send it in the first time. Then you could see I listed it almost a month later and I was able to send it in. So the way to resolve differences is to simply go over here and delete this second line, hit OK, and now the inventory discrepancy is gone. You'll want to keep this in mind when you're sending in shipments, and say you send in 10 units and maybe 2 were damaged, so you decide not to send them in. You want to go back through Inventory Lab, look at that item, and make sure you delete those extra 2 that you did not send in. If you don't keep up with your discrepancies, you'll cause yourself issues later on when you have a ton of inventory that's not in the right place. So that's it for the inventory page. You have the main inventory dashboard, which tells you all the information about the product, like the title, how much you bought it for, where you bought it, when you bought it. Then you have the individual product page where it gives you more information on the product. It'll tell you every single purchase you've ever made on that product. So if you've been buying this product for a year, you can look back to your first purchase to see how much you were paying then, where you were buying it from. Now let's move on to the accounting tab and look under there. So under the accounting tab, you're going to see there are a bunch of different options to look through. We'll start with FBA sales and merchant sales. Now FBA and merchant sales is going to be the same page, just broken down depending on whether you sold it merchant filled or through FBA. Since I only sell through FBA, we'll go through that one. And you can see the layout is pretty similar to the inventory tab, but obviously it's giving you different information. So you can see it's displaying 50 items per page. There's 352 sales in the last month. Over here in the top right corner, you could search depending what you want to look for. You could do order ID, title, UPC, whichever. You can also do advanced search and look for a bunch of different things. You can increase the length of time that this goes back, so you do the last year and you get a snapshot of your business that way. Now for the information this page gives you the date of sale, gives you the item title here, tells you how many units were purchased, tells you what the order price was, your buy cost, your net profit, your profit margin, and your ROI. And down at the bottom, similar to the inventory page, you have a little bit of a snapshot. So you can see my average order price is $26, average fee is about $8.65, and average profit per sale is $8.17. So similar to my inventory tab, the numbers here are not reflective of my normal business just because I've kind of taken a break from Amazon over the last month as everything's been kind of wonky. But Amazon is starting to open up the gates again. And as I mentioned on the list and prep page, that I'm getting ready to send in more product. This is probably one of those pages on Inventory Lab that I check the most. And some of the things I look at is I keep an eye on net profit. So for instance, an item down here that has $1.40 of net profit, that is below my minimum threshold that I would normally buy a product for. So that means that product potentially could have made me more money when I bought it, but then by the time it sold, it made less money. The other thing I look for is, for instance, this negative. I would look at this item and figure out why I lost money on it, so I prevent that mistake in the future. And then I also keep an eye on this page so I could look for certain items, making sure those items are selling. And then when I go out and source some more, I go buy those same items to replenish. I also keep an eye on my average profit per sale, and I try keeping that above a certain threshold, and I keep an eye on that to make sure I'm constantly moving that up because I want to make more money per sale while keeping the same amount of sales and that. So let's take a look at what else is on the accounting tab. Next, on the accounting tab, we have refunds, reimbursements, and other income. Now, refunds and reimbursements are going to have a similar page, but we'll take a look at them real quick. I think most of this information is pretty self-explanatory. You have the date that an item was returned, you have what item was returned, you have the disposition of whether Amazon said it was sellable or unsellable. Now you just gotta keep an eye on your unsellable because most likely Amazon's gonna send that to unfulfillable inventory on Amazon. So when you see unsellable, you wanna go over to that page on Seller Central, see what items you need to send back to yourself to get rid of. You can see what the order total was for that item. You can see the return price, which is the same as the order price. You can see whether you get any credits, and then you can see how much money you lost. Now the nice thing is, the next one we have is reimbursements, which if an item is damaged in the warehouse or if it's damaged in transport, Amazon is responsible for that, so they should give you a reimbursement. Now similar to your last page, you have the date it happened, you have the merchant SKU that was affected, you have the item that was affected, you have the quantity, then you can see your buy cost, how much it cost you, you can see the amount they're crediting you, and then you can see the reason why. So if it's lost in the warehouse, they'll give you a credit because they lost it. I'll be completely honest, I don't actually use these two tabs as much as I should. This is definitely something you should keep an eye on to check for reimbursements and refunds to see why you're getting refunds, so you hopefully prevent them in the future. You should keep track of your reimbursements to make sure Amazon is actually reimbursing you. There is a chance that Amazon won't reimburse you for something, so you should then go to Amazon and be like, hey, why didn't I get reimbursed for this? And then they'll give you the money. So after refunds and reimbursements, we had the other income tab. So if we click that, I don't actually use it, but this is something interesting to note. So you can see on this page, you have the name of the other income, the category it fall on, the amount, the date, and the description. So this is actually a pretty interesting option for you guys. So let's say you're new to Amazon, you're not ungated in a whole lot of brands. Maybe you didn't see this last video I did about getting ungated. Then you could take those products that you're gated in and actually sell them on eBay. What you could then do is keep track of that in here. So if you sell a pair of shoes for $100, you would put that in here. So you could put eBay sale and then put the amount of $100. You could put the date you sold it. You could do a little bit of description, like if you want to put the name of the product you sold. And this will actually help you come tax time. When you print out your reports for your accountant, this would be included then, so you don't have to keep track of it separately. Now, If you're keeping track of your other income, the other thing you have to track is your other expenses, which we'll look at in a minute. Next, you have inbound shipping to Amazon. This mostly I don't really look at, but it is good to have this already in there. As I said, Inventory Lab functions as an accounting software, so to have this all in there and filling in automatically for you is great. Then after inbound shipping, we have mileage. If you guys are running your own business, you definitely want to keep track of mileage. So what you want to do is after you do a sourcing trip or you drop off packages to send into Amazon, come up here to add, and then you put how many miles, the date you did it, and a description of the trip. So you can see I just do 2, which is sourcing and package drop off. And you can see you're currently getting a tax refund of 57.5 cents per mile. And again, because this is all included in Inventory Lab, when you go and print this information for your tax accountant at the end of the year, it's already there for them. It makes their lives so much easier. And you don't have to keep track of it manually. Everything is in one place. This is really why I love Inventory Lab so much, because it's like the accounting features in there are amazing. So if you're tracking your other income and you sold a pair of shoes for $100, you need to keep track of eBay fees and PayPal fees and shipping costs, and you would put that in here. You can also put your subscriptions in here, so you can track like Be Cool or Tactical Arbitrage and have them reoccurring every month. So again, you don't have to track it manually every month. It'll just automatically feed into it. So the last tab we have is the Reports tab, and this is where you can really dive deep into the analytics of your business and make sure you're going in the right direction. So if we hover over this, you have a whole bunch of information like your supplier profitability, category profitability, SKU profitability, ASIN profitability, your total inventory evaluation, your velocity report, and other information. So let's just go through this. First up is your supplier profitability. So this is showing your supplier profitability over the last month, similar to a sales page. Again, you go through advanced search and make it a longer one if you want to search. So you could see, say last year, you can see which suppliers are your best over the whole year. You go to any one of these columns and sort. So you can do by the least amount of revenue, the most amount of revenue, and you can see you have which supplier it is, how many units were sold, how many units were refunded, how much revenue, what percentage of revenue, your profit from them, your ROI, and how many units you have on hand. So you can see in the last month, my top supplier I sold 40 units from. I did a total revenue of $3,380, which is about 40% of my revenue. It gave me about $1,400 profit. Got 113% ROI from this supplier, and I have another 40 units on hand. And again, this gives you a pretty good snapshot on the bottom here. So you can see how many units I sold in the past month, how many units were refunded. You can see the total revenue, and you can see my total profit, plus how many units I have on hand currently. And similar to the inventory page, you have these colored bars down at the bottom that represent individual suppliers, so you can see which suppliers are making up the majority of your business. So 2 of the things I like looking at most on this page is I like looking at a longer time frame and then seeing which suppliers are giving me the most revenue and the highest ROI on my money. So for instance, in the last month, this supplier right here gave me almost 40% of my revenue, and I'm getting a return on investment of 113%. So this is definitely a supplier I should focus more energy on so I could increase the amount of products I'm buying and selling from. I would say this is a page that I view as much as I do the sales page, just so I keep up to date on where I'm getting the most profitable products from, who I should focus my energy on in terms of buying and sourcing, and it gives you a good idea of where your best products are coming from. So if we go down on the Reports tab again, next up is Category Profitability, and it's going to show you similar information, but it's going to be broken down by the category. You can see how many units sold, how many units refunded, how much revenue, what percentage of revenue, how much profit, your ROI, etc. And again, you could sort it just like the last one. And you can see the toy category, I've made almost $4,000 of revenue in the past month. And just like the last one, you have the breakdown on the bottom with the different color bars. Except now the color bars represent categories. So again, you can see toy. Total, I made $1,450 from the toy category, which is about 50% of my net profit. Next on the Reports tab is SKU Profitability. Again, similar information, just broken down a different way. So you can see this SKU here. I've had 13 orders, an average of 1 unit per order. I have no refunds on it. This product has made me a total revenue of $2,200. I have 9 on hand. My cost per unit is almost $52. I made $1,000 profit, and I made 160% ROI. And again, you can just go through this and check each product, see how each product is doing, what kind of numbers you're getting from each one. And not to sound like a broken record, but you have another breakdown on the bottom. I think the breakdowns Inventory Lab gives you on the very bottom of these pages is super useful, and you should definitely be taking a look at that. And I seriously recommend, if you do have Inventory Lab, or if you're thinking about getting Inventory Lab, is definitely dive into all these different pages and check them all out and see what information you can pull out of there, because this is seriously going to help you grow your business. Next on the reports is we have ASIN Profitability, which is basically the same thing as a SKU Profitability, except broken down by ASIN. And you can see the same product, 13 orders, 1 unit per order, cost per unit, profit, all that. Same exact page except broken down by ASIN instead of SKU. But each ASIN has the same SKU, so it doesn't really make a difference. Next, we have inventory valuation. This is similar to the ASIN profitability, except instead of which one's sold, it shows you what's currently available. So you can see this product here, I have 21 on hand. I have an average cost per unit of $386, and that total inventory is worth $84. You can also see the status that most of these are active, but this one also has a unit inbound. Again, a lot of this information, there's not a lot to go over with you guys on this. You could check it out for yourselves, but it's just to give you an idea on the back end of your business so you can get a better idea of where your money's coming from, which items are most profitable, so you can focus in the right direction and make sure you're growing your business in a smart way. Next is velocity report, but I don't use that, so nothing will pop up there. You have removals and disposals, which you could check out. For this one, these are items that you requested back to you because they were unfillable, like I was mentioning earlier. And you could see how many you requested. You could see if it's completed or canceled. You could see how much your removal fee was, when you requested it, when the last update was. You have your status here in the middle. You can see what type of removal it is, and it gives you a breakdown of all your removals you have going on. Next, we have the sales tax report, which fortunately Amazon is now collecting sales tax for you in most states, but you definitely want to talk to someone that's professional in tax. Next is profit and loss, which is a really useful tab. So on the profit and loss tab, you can see a huge snapshot of what your business is doing, either on the monthly basis, quarterly basis, daily, weekly. You can really change this to get a snapshot of whatever you're looking for. You can see how many sales you have, the refunds you have, reimbursements, total expenses, cost of goods sold. And again, at the bottom, you have your little snapshot the inventory lab likes to give you. So far this month in April, I've made $2,300. I have total expenses of $5,400. You can see I did a total sales of almost $8,000. So this is really useful when your taxes come due, because you could print out your total profit and loss for the entire year and then hand that to your accountant so you get your taxes done. Next is resources and support, which I don't personally use, but you could definitely check that out on your own. Then I did mention I'll show you in settings how you can change your dashboard. So you go to your name, you go to settings, and then there's not a lot I can show you in here. This is something you just want to play around with on your own. But for the dashboard, you could hit entry point. So this is where you would change your dashboard, and you could actually change it to whichever one of these you prefer. If you do a lot of online arbitrage, you could change it to Scout. So that way it goes directly there when you log on, and then you can start doing your product research right away. Another really useful tool for your Amazon FBA business is definitely tactical arbitrage. So I recommend checking out the full playlist over here. If you want to know how I use Be Cool, the repricer, to double my sales, check out this video down here. If you found this video at all helpful, it's always appreciated if you drop a like. If you have any questions at all, always feel free to leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. As always, thanks for watching.